Welcome back. This is your host, Kristi Slaughter. You're listening to SuperTalk Saturday Mornings on WFHG 92.9. Thank you for joining us today. We're here with my special guest, Haley Hensley. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I haven't got to meet you in person, but one of our mutual friends knows that I do this show, and she suggested that I talk to you about this incredible work of art that you've created that's based on Virginia Intermont College and all of these gifts and talents that you have that you're sharing now with the world. Talk to us a little bit about your background in photography, why you're passionate about this, and sharing your love with others.
I started photographing at the age of 10, which is pretty amazing to me still that I knew at the age of 10 what I really wanted to do. My dad bought me a 35 millimeter film camera at an auction, and I took classes in high school, and ever since then, I just knew that photography was what I was passionate about.
So, Haley, I'm not sure how old you are. You sound like you're pretty young, but I don't.
Oh.
But I'm not quite sure. So, when you realized that you wanted to do photography and you wanted this to be your career, and it's wonderful, and I admire that a lot of us are still trying to find our passion, and so for you to have done that so early on is absolutely incredible. How did you go about deciding to incorporate your love and making it into something that would actually financially support you and would allow you to really expand the gifts that you've been given? When did you decide that you were going to do that? And how do you go about picking out what subjects you're going to photograph and things like that?
My last year of high school, when everyone was trying to decide where they wanted to go to college at and what they wanted to do as far as their degree, I didn't really know anything that I could see a future in except photography. So I talked my parents into really trusting me and letting me go to school for that art degree. So that's when I started school at Virginia Intermont. And I spent 3 years there, and then it closed, and then I finished at Emory and Henry. I'm still working on the making a living out of it part. Most of my work right now is just personal work that I'm doing for myself and hope to exhibit someday and share with people. But this work is probably the most important work that I've done, just simply because it was sort of like closure to me whenever they closed. It helps me deal with the situation, and I know that it's important to other people to have these photographs now.
Haley, if you don't mind, give us your website so people can get a glimpse of this beautiful photography that you've done and learn more about your project, if you don't mind.
It's www.haley, Haley, Hensley.photo. You can also see it on my Facebook page at Haley Hensley Photography.
Talk to us about the process of going into Virginia Intermont and taking these pictures and what it meant to you personally to be able to create something that will essentially be there forever for other people to be able to look back on. Talk to me about that process and what that meant to you.
On April 15th, 2014, all the students and staff gathered in the dining room. And that was the day that we were told that we wouldn't be coming back next semester. Like, up until that point, we were scheduling our next semester classes and, making plans. And this was like 2 weeks before we closed. So it was truly a shock when we found that out. And immediately afterwards, I just knew that I had to capture the photos. And at that point, I was really only doing it for myself, just to have those memories captured in a way that fits my life, which is photography. And then I started photographing about a month after everyone had left and the school was completely empty. And it was difficult. It was really difficult. Most of it was really emotional for me, and at that point I wasn't thinking about a project or a series or anything like that. I was just thinking, get every single building and room that you can, documented. And then the more photographs that I showed people, they were like, wow, these are really nice. We Like, we want to see more of these. So whenever I did my senior project at Emory and Henry, I decided that it needed to be that. My senior project is kind of like all the students who are graduating do a photo series, and they exhibit that at the school. So that was mine, and the more people saw it, the more they were interested in it. Like, they wanted to see what VI was like after everyone had left. And this was people who hadn't been to the school in 20 years. So I kind of realized how important it was then. And so I kept going back to capture the photographs. And as I did that, I was going in rooms I'd never been in before, rooms that I had no idea what they were, and learning about that and learning the history of those rooms. And that's when I really started to grasp how important these photographs were going to be to other people.
Haley, it sounds like to me, and of course, I'm new to you and to this project, but I can just feel that you have really a love for Virginia Intermont. And I'm wondering, as you're going through and you're capturing all this, did you find that love grew, that you had a greater appreciation?
Oh, yes. I mean, when I was there and just seeing, like, all the elements that had been left behind, I mean, it really gives you a sense of the family that Virginia Intermont created. Like, there were postcards from students who had already graduated. They were left behind that they had sent to other students who were still there. I mean, just VI was truly a family. It was a small school. Most of the students, I mean, all of my classmates I had all 4 years. I mean, it was a very small environment. Everyone knew everyone. I had professors that I had never, ever had in class, but they still said hi to you across campus. Like, they said hi to me every single day. That's just the kind of environment it was there. And, I mean, my love was already strong that third year, but photographing just, I mean, I can't imagine spending those 3 years anywhere else, and I still miss it. It's still very difficult, but I'm very thankful for Virginia Intermont, what they did for me and my life.
Haley, one of the unique things, I believe, being here in our area, or if you grew up here or had any experience, I remember going to play some of the first theater productions that I was in high school was there. I went to my first swimming lessons there. I actually applied to go there for a dance degree. So many of us who maybe didn't even go to Virginia Intermont, it's been an institution in our community. And so it's really neat. As I went through the pictures on your website, haven't seen the book yet, but as I went through the website that you have in that series, I had forgotten all the times that I had been there and the things that I've gotten to see. And so it's really absolutely remarkable. And even if you've not been there, you're not from our area, the photography is just absolutely breathtaking. Why did you decide to do it in black and white? And are all the pictures in black and white?
Yes, they are. One of my favorite mediums that I learned at Virginia Intermont College was 4x5 film. I've always been connected more with film than I have digital photography, since that's what I started out with. So when I decided to photograph, I knew that I wanted to do it in my favorite medium that I had learned there, just so it was more special and just I could connect with it more. So I did over 100 images. Not all of those are shown, but over 100 images in film. And then in my book, they are a combination of film and digital images. I really focused on the film images, but I also wanted to document every single piece of Virginia Intermont that I could. So that was also easier to do with a digital camera. So it's really a combination of digital and film, but to keep it consistent, I kept it with black and white. Black and white is really my personal favorite. I feel like you can really focus on the image, and you're not getting distracted by objects that may be a brighter color or just more distracting in the image. So I figured black and white would keep it simple, and you could really focus on what's important.
Haley, what has the response been since you've released these photographs?
People are it's a mix of emotions. People are so sad that they're reliving the tragedy of what happened, but they're thinking back to all the memories that they had there, and they're telling me stories that they had in that room that I photographed and telling me about things that are in the photographs. Like one of our professors there, Mary Lee Smith, she was talking to me about all the swimming lessons that she had taught in the pool. And one of our art professors, Harry, he was telling me about all of the art classes that he had taught in the studio and about all of his time that he had spent there making his own art there. I mean, and one of the things I was worried about was connecting this project with people who weren't really related to Virginia Intermont College. But most recently, I saw where the art professor from Milligan had visited my exhibit, and where he had went to a small college. He was kind of interested in the photographs and the story, and I mean, I think he was really happy with it. He was really, really pleased with the images and the story, so that was really exciting to see that they were also reaching out and connecting to other people who weren't necessarily staff or alumni of the college. So that was really nice.
Haley, as you were describing that, as you were describing that, I thought this could be incredible for you. Who knows? You could go in, let's say that someone is selling a home, a family homestead, and they want to document pictures of that before that estate is these are absolutely beautiful. It would be a wonderful way to capture memories for anything that maybe is time is moving on and you're changing locations or environments or schools or homes.
Yeah, most of my personal work is all documentary. I mean, I love when I photographed VI, I didn't change anything. I went into the rooms. They are all untouched in the photographs. So, I mean, I really love capturing that realistic, everything I want to be real as it can be. I mean, what you see is really what's there. So I love that type of photography. And when I photograph, whether it's family portraits or anything like that, I try to keep that.
Absolutely beautiful. Haley, if you don't mind, I have a couple more questions for you, but we need to take a quick commercial break. I want to know how you got in there.
Okay.
We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Check out her website during the commercial break. It's haleyhensley.photo. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. You're listening to SuperTalk Saturday Mornings on WFHG 92.9. Welcome back. This is your host, Kristi Slaughter. Thanks for joining us today. We're talking with my special guest, Haley Hensley. Thanks for staying with us, Haley.
Thank you.
We've been talking about your passion for photography and the Virginia Intermont College project, What Remains. Now, I'm not a photographer, so I don't know if you have to have permission to go places and take pictures of things. How did all that transpire? Did you just find yourself there on campus seeing if doors were open, or can you tell us how did all that work?
Yeah, after it had closed and there weren't many people left, I started asking around to see if there was a single person there, like if anyone was overseeing the buildings, and there was one person there. He had, I think, a couple of friends that had worked at VI previously that was keeping the lawn mowed and just keeping the buildings up and running. And he's been there. He's still there now. He's working with the new owners to keep the buildings, leak free and keep everything in the best condition that it can be for being closed. So I actually shot him an email and was like, told him everything that I wanted to do and told him that I really wanted to photograph and if that was even possible. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's meet up and see what we can do. So he gave me access to all the rooms, and he told me the history of the rooms and stories and what they were used for, and maybe what they were previously before I had attended. So I really owe it all to his bill. Without him and his help, I really wouldn't have been able to capture the photographs that I've captured.
Haley, that's incredible. It's as though you have a backstage pass.
Definitely felt that way.
Very special indeed. Okay, how did you go about getting all the pictures into a book? And when did you decide, okay, this needs to be a collection. This is actually a series. Was that through your project at Emory and Henry, or how did that come into fruition?
I'd always thought about making a book just for my personal use to have, like, all the images in, like, a collection. But when my show went up at William King Museum, I started thinking about it more because the prints are darkroom prints. They're not easily replicated, but I wanted people to have a way to take that home with them and not only look at them on the computer. So that's when I thought of the idea of making a book. So I actually made the book myself. It's self-published, and then I'm offering it for sale on my website.
So again, if you don't mind, Haley, give us your website. So if people want to go and look at those, some of those pictures and then purchase a copy of your book, possibly.
It's haleyhensley.photo.
Okay, Haley, I'm curious, what projects would you like to do in the future?
I love photographing landscapes and I'm a very outdoorsy person, so I love kayaking and biking. So I always am photographing when I'm out, but I also really enjoy pet portraits. If I was to open a business, I would really want to be focused on pet portraits. So I hope that's what my future is about.
Now, when I looked at your portfolio online, you had some examples of some of your pictures outside of the VI project.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a cute dog.
It's my absolute favorite. Well, I have a Great Dane, and she's basically the highlight of my life, so I'm always photographing her. But, I mean, I love all animals. I love being outside. So anything connected with that, I'm always photographing.
Okay, one more question that I have. I got one more question. And then there's always like 2 or 3 more. Okay, how many pictures did you take, or do you have any idea to get it narrowed down to that 100?
Well, actually, the book has a little over 60, I think. My show has 24 images in it at the museum. I took a little over 100 film shots, so these are just 100 negatives. Digitally, I would say around 100 as well. So in combination, probably a little over 200 good final images.
Now, for those of us who maybe are interested in photography and that's not something that we're currently doing, can you go into a room and know exactly where you need to stand, how the lighting is? Do you just inherently know those types of things?
I didn't know that when I started out, but really going to Virginia Intermont College, they teach you kind of the basics of knowing what's good light and what is a good angle versus something that's not very interesting. So I think as a photographer, you kind of have that instinct, but then you really learn the technical side of things of what is truly a good artistic image that's technically correct. I mean, when I'm photographing and I spend a lot of time driving, whether it's to and from work or it was to and from college. So when I'm driving, I'm constantly looking for an image. And whenever I see it, I automatically know, I'm like, that's a black and white image right there. So I think as a photographer or as someone who has an artistic eye, you kind of know what you want in an image, but then it's also really nice to learn the technical side of things, like how to use your camera properly and really what's proper exposure and just the really technical side of things is important to know.
Haley, one of my favorite pictures is the one with the staircase and the sign that says, "Welcome to Virginia Intermont," and the V has kind of fallen off and it's sideways. And one of the things that most of us who are taking pictures with our iPhone and putting them on Facebook, we want to look as great as we possibly can, right? Nobody wants to put a bad picture on Facebook, but we're looking for perfection. And one of the things that I love about photography and the art of photography and what you're doing is the beauty in the imperfections and capturing it as it is.
That was actually one of the first photographs that I took while I was photographing there. It's one of my favorites. That sign was there for such a long time, and then just to go back and to start the project of photographing and to see that imperfection of that was just, it was so sad at the time. But it's one of my favorite images. It's truly the beginning of everything that I did there. So,
if people are interested, they can check out your exhibit. Is that correct?
Yes, it will be taken down July 31st, so still have like a week, but it's at William King Museum in Abington.
Thankful that you are here today with us and that you've been able to do this and really capture this important institution for our community. And just thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to your next project. So when you're ready, just give us a call, okay? You can come on the show and tell us all about it.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to keep VI's story alive.
This is your host, Kristi Slaughter, on SuperTalk Saturday Mornings, WFHG.